Cartoon recaps here. Today I'm going to be recapping a historical cartoon movie called Bilal. This is like watching the movie itself, so please make sure you watch this video to end because you're really going to enjoy and learn a lot from this movie. The story of the young Bilal begins with him playing in the safety of his home village. He pretends to be a ruthless warrior on horseback, beheading all enemies he comes across. When he falls down to the ground, Ghaffara, Bilal's sister, laughs at his mischief. Bilal's family wasn't expecting things to get worse because it was like any other day. The siblings were horsing around while their mother did some chores. Suddenly, men on horses were charging towards their house. Bilal's mother acted quickly and hid Bilal and Ghaffara in a storage area inside the house. But it was useless. The men killed a matriarch, causing the young boy to get out of his hiding place. Years later, Bilal wakes up from the same nightmare that haunted him throughout all these years. Ghaffara sees the situation and comes to comfort his brother. To cheer him up, Ghaffara hands him a chipped silver coin. A soldier then orders him to fetch some water. As he opens the door, it shows the beautiful city of Mecca. During this time, Bilal spent his childhood as an enslaved person after being sold to the richest man in the city named Umayyah, who is also one of the Quraysh leaders. While he was on his way to fetch some water for his master, the young slave meets Uqba, another of Quraysh's leaders, who is persuading the people of Mecca to come to his shop and buy various idols from him. Uqba tries to convince a pregnant lady that if she needs a son, just buy an idol, and the lady will give birth to triplets. Later a caravan passes by, and Bilal falls to his knees. When he looks up, he sees the Kaaba, a black building surrounded by guards and worshippers alike. On top of the Kaaba is an ominous statue of a horned man with a golden hand. Bilal also spots a mysterious and masked charlatan priest, who tricks people into offering their money to false idols, and in return, he promises that the idols will grant them all of their mundane desires. It almost tempts Bilal into offering the silver coin that Ghaffara gave him. Safwan, a delinquent and Umayyah's son, is bullying Ghaffara along with his pals in another part of town. The other boys hold Ghaffara to her knees, and when Safwan is about to shoot her with an arrow, Bilal intervenes and saves her. The young Bilal manages to subdue Safwan, but he controls himself, knowing full well of the punishments that await if he hurts the young master. One of Umayyah's merchants stops the commotion, prompting the bullies to leave. Later the same merchant informs Umayyah of the racket earlier. Umayyah then orders his guards to call for the young slave, and brutally reminds Bilal of his status by ordering the guards to lash him. Umayyah then smacks Safwan for losing to a slave and humiliating him. Bilal meets and befriends a white horse one day. The young boy was cautious but persistent. The horse was somewhat teasing the boy. In the end, Bilal manages to mount the majestic white horse after offering it with some dates. Suddenly, the horse sprints out of the stables. A quick transition. Years passed by, and Bilal is now an adult. He rides the same horse through the vast desert and towards Mecca. He also becomes friends with a skilled archer named Saad. The two kept teasing one another. Later on the way back to Umayyah's mansion, he spots a young, hungry boy begging for money. The people of Mecca offer coins to the idols instead of giving the young boy something. In desperation, the boy tries to steal from the offering. The charlatan priest observes from a distance. Bilal stops the boy from stealing, sparing him from a beating from the guards. He then gives his own food instead. A noble named Abu Bakr, also known as Al-Siddiq or the Truthful, witnesses Bilal's act of charity and confronts the slave. Bilal mistakes Abu Bakr for a priest and kneels down. But Abu Bakr explains his ideology. He believes in equality for all and sees grandeur in the slave. On the other hand, Bilal is skeptical of him and his ideals. He is unable to envision a world in which slaves are treated fairly. Unbeknownst to both, Safwan's servant had been watching Abu Bakr and Bilal the entire time as they were conversing. At Umayyah's mansion, an adult Safwan easily defeats 4 guards in combat practice. Not soon after, Bilal calls for Safwan, stating that the master, Umayyah, is looking for him. Safwan then reminds Bilal to kneel whenever he addresses Safwan. With not much choice, Bilal does as he is told. Not soon after, Sohaib, another slave of Persian descent, breaks the tension and cheers up Bilal. Sohaib is a blacksmith and tells Bilal to deliver his best metalwork to date to the master. Later, Bilal serves the cup that Sohaib made along with some fruits to Umayyah. After a few exchanges between Umayyah and his guest, Uqba requested Bilal to sing a song. His beautiful voice echoes throughout the room. Bilal then leaves after to the sound of his master's friends mockingly praising, laughing, and insulting Bilal's late mother. On a separate occasion, Sohaib was fetching some water to drink when another Quraysh leader named Abu al-Hakam together with a dozen of guards, punish the slaves by whipping them for getting water for free without offering anything in return. Not even offering a single penny to the gods. A renowned warrior named Hamza joins the fray and comes to the slaves' rescue. Hamza slaps Abu al-Hakam in the face and calls him a coward. Hamza then announces that the well of Zamzam has always been free and will remain free. Abu Bakr came to see Hamza, and the two talked. The next day, Bilal returns to Abu Bakr for further clarity, and he adopts Abu Bakr's conviction that there is only one God. He also learns from the wise Abu Bakr that even people like Umayyah are slaves, that they have greed as their master. Weeks later, a different feast is held in honor of Safwan's first success as a merchant. Abu al-Hakam told Umayyah a newly emerging movement. The movement believes in equal treatment for all on top of the monotheistic belief. The same movement is spreading like wildfire. When al-Hakam informs Umayyah that some of his fellow merchants are beginning to join the new movement, which is seriously affecting their business, Mecca's richest man is outraged. Umayyah demands to know if any other traders are among his ranks. Safwan sees an opportunity and accuses Bilal of belonging to the new movement. When Umayyah asks Bilal if he is truly a part of the said movement, Bilal bravely defies his master and voices out that everyone is equal, since they breathe the same air and bleed the same color of blood. Immediately, Bilal is then taken to a cage with no water and food. The slave is also tormented every day in an attempt to get him to give up his claims. One day Umayyah visits him and offers to set him and his sister, Ghaffara, free and buy him a house if he spies on the movement. Bilal refuses to yield and is subsequently carried out in front of the Meccans, where he is bound to the ground. Then a massive boulder is placed on top of him to crush him slowly. Abu Bakr sees the torture and offers a generous amount of money for Bilal. Umayyah continued with the torture, and Abu Bakr made another offer to double the initial price. The greedy Umayyah agrees. The pious Abu Bakr then shares that he would have given all his possession and riches for a brother like Bilal. Because it is said by the Almighty God that whoever saves a life, it is as though he had saved all of mankind. Ghaffara, on the other hand, was gifted to Safwan. The young master refuses to sell her for the sole purpose of mentally torturing Bilal. Abu Bakr frees Bilal 3 months after being sold. After insisting, Bilal is then taught how to fight with a sword by Hamza, who is the movement's foster brother, paternal uncle, and one of the movement's comrades, while also going with them up north to escape the Meccans' persecution. A year later, after the migration to Yathrib, currently known as Medina, Safwan sends Bilal a lock of Ghaffara's hair. After receiving it, Bilal and Hamza immediately ride back to Mecca, where they arrive to discover a section of the city engulfed in flames. They also see many members of the new movement slain on the orders of Umayyah and his other corrupted merchants. Bilal rushes to Umayyah's residence, only to be apprehended by the guards. Ghaffara has been keeping a coin safe for Bilal. Safwan showed and tossed Bilal the same chipped coin. The coin is stained with blood, signifying that Ghaffara has been killed. Just before the guards are about to execute Bilal, Hamza throws a spear hitting one of the guards and saves Bilal. The two then ride out of the chaos and flee to safety. Another year later, Hamza remembers his late sister through the damaged coin. Meanwhile, 2 additional cities, including Medina, joined the new movement in the past year, prompting Umayyah and his merchants to declare war on the movement. To the Meccan oligarchs, they are seen as a menace and threat to their power. Before the confrontation, Abu Bakr and the others pray to God for strength. As they stood up from prayer, Mecca's army came into view. Mecca's troops outnumber the movement's army by a large margin. Umayyah sees a clear advantage but wants to crush the enemy's spirits. And so, he commands to send his 3 best men. On the other side of the field, Hamza and 2 others advanced, face their adversaries. Hamza and his men quickly eliminate Mecca's best, raising morale in the movement's army. Humiliated, Umayyah orders his army to charge. Meanwhile, Hamza orders his archers to fire, dealing a massive blow to the advancing Meccans. Afterward, heavenly warriors in white come to the movement's rescue. In the thick of the conflict, Hamza manages to kill Abu al-Hakam. Meanwhile, after subduing a few soldiers, Umayyah spots his former slave and charges at him. Bilal lets out a tear and runs to meet him. The former slave slashes the horse's legs, causing Umayyah to fall over. Bilal controls his anger and confronts Umayyah to heed his request that they halt the war for the sake of peace. The greedy Quraysh leader refuses. Instead, he declares that today will be the death of Bilal. Umayyah's sword skill is not to be underestimated. Despite having a comfortable life, the Quraysh leader is a skilled swordsman. But after a brief exchange of swords, Bilal comes up on top and slaughters Umayyah. After the army of Qurayshi Meccans learns of the death of their leaders, Umayyah and al-Hakam, the army swiftly disintegrates and is defeated. After the battle, Hamza, Bilal, and the others return back to Medina. News of Umayyah's death spreads quickly throughout the peninsula. As Umayyah's son Safwan swore revenge and gathered armies from several allying cities to exact vengeance. A year later, Hamza is killed in another battle against Mecca's Qurayshi warriors, becoming a martyr along with other believers who were slain in battle. The Mu'mins or the believers tasted defeat, but God planned it, and their faith remained strong. After several years, most of Arabia's cities have fallen to the movement, leaving just Mecca to oppose the newly formed and united nation. After attempting to satisfy the idols by fasting, Mecca's high priest died. His attempt, however, is in vain, and all Mecca's idols have shown to be weak and false. During the capture of Mecca, Bilal meets Safwan and wonders why he had to slay Ghaffara. Ghaffara's existence was later revealed. Safwan echoes Bilal's sentiments, saying that a man is evaluated by his actions and that liberating Ghaffara will be his one moral act. Bilal spares Safwan's life. The movie ends with Safwan hearing a disturbance coming from the city's sacred place and walking out to see Bilal calling for prayer at the Kaaba after the statue of Hubal and the other idols have been dismantled. Thank you for watching, guys. If you want to be watching more of this content, please subscribe to this channel. Bye.